can point you to somebody who's better suited for interviews.
Sure. Yeah,
This guy's got a backpack that says Marines. I wouldn't talk to him. His backpack says Marines.
I got it for free.
Well, it shouldn't happen.
It's just carrying my stuff. I don't care what it says.
It does all those fucking whys. It's actually an endorsement for militarism, and militarism needs to stop.
Okay. What's up, guys? Nuance Bro checking in. We're on the West Coast Walk for Life. Let's go talk to some people, see what's going on. So why are we out here today?
For life, to defend the unborn.
Sure. And what's going on today that's, opposed to life? Like, what are we trying to achieve?
We're trying to achieve to change the culture, to think more in life instead of in death, and to save lives either at conception or natural death.
Sure. So you're talking about like abortion specifically, right?
Mm-hmm.
And do you oppose all abortion?
Yes.
Even in case of the health of the mother and rape and things like that?
Yes.
Why is that?
Because God is the one who's in charge, not us. So whatever's going to happen, it is Him who's going to do it.
Sure, but if the life of the mother's at stake, don't you believe in self-preservation? Wouldn't God be like, okay, you have the right to preserve yourself. We're not going to make you, force you to die because you have to carry out a baby, and maybe the baby might die as well in the process.
With our medical now, they seem to have got that under control.
But I'm talking about the rare cases, for example.
It's still in God's hand.
So why do you believe life starts right at conception?
Because that's what it says.
What says?
The Bible says. Life starts at conception to natural death.
Where in the Bible does it say that?
It's there.
What's that? Is there like a specific verse it talks about like life beginning at like when the sperm meets the egg, conception?
It starts at conception.
But where does it say that in the Bible? Because you said it says it in the Bible.
Mm-hmm. I'm done.
Okay, thank you. What are we trying to achieve?
We're trying to achieve the respect and dignity of the human life and just get people to recognize how important human beings are.
Sure. In what specific way?
In the sense that we're all human beings and I think we should protect one another.
But I mean, this is like specifically against abortion, for example, right?
I don't want to say against, I want to say for life.
Served as diocese and chancellor.
So, I mean, you don't oppose making abortion illegal? Or?
I oppose murder, and I think abortion is murder. So.
Sure. And do you believe it's murder in all cases?
I think I'm for life, and that's as much as I want to say right now.
I mean, just trying to get the viewers to understand like the point here. So, I mean, for example, you believe it's murder just the same way if I was to kill that guy right now, that's murder?
I think I just want to limit this to say I'm pro-life, and I hope you have a great day, and I'm praying for you all.
No worries. Thank you.
A child is a person as of the moment of conception. It doesn't change its personhood or lose its personhood at different states in the development. The only point that you can point to when life begins is conception. Anything else is just growth.
Well, why is that? Why do you feel like when it's even a single cell, like when the sperm fertilizes the egg, why is that a person when we're multicellular organisms?
Well, I think biologically, the only point that you can point to that life begins is at conception. Anything else would just be an arbitrary decision about when the cells have concreted enough that they're a certain size. Biologically, it's a separate entity with its own DNA, its own cell structure, and it's just a matter of growth. It's like taking a child that's already born at 1 month old and saying, well, it's not a child because it has Down syndrome or something, and you can kill it. That's just arbitrary as well.
When people die, we have a specific, way of determining death, and it's by, not being able to detect brainwaves, right? So if that's the line for death, the way we could maybe determine an objective standard for life is when we can first detect brainwaves. Do you think that would be a reasonable standard?
No, I don't, because I think, as I said, when the moment of conception to me is the only logical point that you can point to when life would begin.
Why wouldn't brainwaves being detectable be the logical way? Because what differentiates us from other animals is our mental faculties, our abilities as human beings to reason, our sentience, and self-awareness and things like that.
Well, if you use that as the standard, then someone that didn't have adequate brainwaves, let's say someone that was mentally defective or
just brainwaves, period.
Well, I see your point, but I'm worried that that's a little arbitrary.
Why would it be arbitrary if that's how we determine death, when brainwaves stop and we can't detect them anymore? If that's when life begins, is when we first start detecting brainwaves. That would limit abortion, I think, to about 8 to 10 weeks of pregnancy.
Well, again, I believe life begins at conception, not just when brainwaves are detectable.
And what's your reasoning for that?
Because, as I said several times, that's the only point that you can point to biologically when a new being exists with its own independent DNA. So.
Thank you. Appreciate it. And you said like science has shown that life begins at conception.
Yes, it has.
I've never heard. Where is this? Like what science exactly?
Go. Science and religion are right next to each other when it comes to that. So I'm not a scientist, but
What have you heard specifically?
What I hear is that science now says that life begins at the moment of conception. All right. So go on Google, read about it. I'm not a scientist, but this is what
How was it conveyed to you? Like
it's
how
conveyed
exactly?
to me. It's conveyed to me over Catholic radio. It's conveyed to me over Catholic
Well,
Answers.
not the method, but I mean like specifically like what have they told you is like
When the
reason?
egg and the sperm come together, a life has begun. That is not a blob. It is not a cell. It is not a.
Well, it's technically a cell.
Technically, it is. Technically, it is a human life at the beginning of life. And as that child grows, it grows into you, and it grows into me, and it grows into all of these people here. It's not something that's just scraped off the wall of a uterus. It's a baby. It's a baby. From the moment of conception, it's a baby. So I'm not a scientist. Look it up. If you don't believe me, look it up. There's a library right across the street here. You can go over there and check it out.
For most people like you and me, if we were to die, how would they determine death?
How would they? Your heart stops.
No, because if your heart stops, you still have brain activity for a while. You're still alive. You can even still talk for a while if your heart is stopped. But if it doesn't restart again, we can restart your heart and you can
Sure.
live. So the way we define it is, if there's no more detectable brain waves, you're considered dead, and that's when they pronounce you dead at the hospital.
Okay.
I was wondering if you would consider the standard for life beginning once detectable brainwaves are, in the womb. We can detect brainwaves because that's what really differentiates us from, other life forms. Is our brain.
Well, we are not other life forms. We are human beings.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's what differentiates us.
Oh, yes. So that's what differentiates us. But it is scientifically, and I'm just going to repeat this because this is what I know. Father Robert Spitzer, who is also a renowned scientist and biblical scholar, avows that. You can Google him, and death in the womb is just tearing a child limb for limb.
My question is, so you said it's murder, it's a baby
yes.
right from the beginning.
Yes.
So, I mean, would you consider it murder the same way if I were to kill this man right here?
Absolutely.
Would that, sure.
Yes,
so
I would.
If I was about to tell you, I'm going to kill this guy right now, would you attempt to stop me? And
yes,
even
I would.
through force of,
Yes, I would.
Would you do the same would you like kill an abortionist or a doctor?
I wouldn't kill an abortionist. I wouldn't kill anyone.
But you would kill me if I
tried
to kill this man.
You, I would kill you. I would try to stop you. Maybe I would push you. Maybe I would jump on you. Maybe you would kill me
But
instead.
if that wasn't enough and I could still get to that man, wouldn't you use lethal force to stop that?
I don't have
would
any
personally.
lethal force on me.
I mean, if you did.
I wouldn't. I would never hurt another human being.
Because I mean, if someone was trying to kill you, I would definitely, even if I had to kill that person, I would defend you and stop that person.
Thank you. I
don't
appreciate
know
that.
if I would do necessarily the same for someone getting an abortion.
Oh well, I'll pray for you then.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome.
You believe life begins at conception? Is that correct?
That's right, yes.
And what's the basis for that?
Science. I mean, any scientist would tell you that too. Yeah.
Well, not the ones who've told me. Like as far as I've seen the research, for example, the point of death is usually considered brain death when we can't detect brainwaves.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't the rational reason for when a life begins to be around when brainwaves are detectable in the womb?
That's not the determining factor for life, but we believe all life is sacred. It's so good to meet you, and I'm going to catch back up with my group. God
sure.
bless you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
I like your videos.
Oh, thanks, man. So why are we out here today?
Pro-life.
So just against abortion in all cases?
It's a gray area, isn't it? I mean, rape. It gets complicated, right? I mean, but overall, yeah, they have a choice before they lay down.
In generally speaking, right?
Generally speaking, they have a choice before they lay down and do whatever it is they want to do.
Sure. So do you believe like life begins at conception? And is that like when abortion shouldn't be legal from then until birth?
I think once it gets a heartbeat, which is generally pretty early. But definitely these people who say, I mean, at the last possible
Like an hour before it's
an
born,
hour, a week,
partial birth
whatever. I mean,
abortion.
that's just absurd. It's a baby inside. The only difference is it's a thin layer of skin.
The standard for death, I mean, from what I've seen, is once brainwaves are not detectable. Wouldn't that also be a good standard for when life begins, when brainwaves are first detectable?
Yeah, I suppose so. And the thing that gets me, you know, they always say it's about, you know, keep the government out of our body, and it's got nothing to do with their body. It's everything about the life inside, and they have that choice to do what they want with their body before they get pregnant and lay
It gets
down.
complicated because it's like the baby's body, your body. I mean, do you have say, even if it is a life inside of you, do you have, you know, dominion over what you do with your body? Like, you could do things to potentially just naturally to kind of botch the pregnancy. Would that be illegal? It gets kind of complicated. But would you support, for example, like abortion legal up to maybe 10 or 12 weeks, which is when brainwaves are first detectable? Heartbeat's like 6 weeks.
Yeah, it gets complicated and technical, but I would say aborting a baby once it's fully developed with a heartbeat and a brain, I mean, that's life.
So we just wanted to make sure everyone knows that the whole pro-life movement doesn't look like the sign that we just saw.
We saw the sign and we said, we got to go over there.
Yeah.
That doesn't represent us, and we're really tired of having the entire pro-life movement marked as some kind of patriarchal garbage.
Do you guys believe it starts at conception, life begins at conception?
Well, scientifically, human life.
You can check out these citations if you want. But,
when do you think human life begins?
I think when brainwaves are detectable.
That's usually ableist.
Ableist?
Yeah.
What's ableist? What do you mean?
I mean, basing someone's humanity on how much mental function they have, doesn't that seem a bit...
Any mental function, period. Like if your brain is functioning, because that's how we determine death. Once you don't have brainwaves, we consider you legally dead.
Well, that happens at 6 weeks after conception, which is before most women even know that they're pregnant.
6 weeks is the heartbeat, I believe. I think it's around 8 to 12 weeks is when the brainwaves start being detectable.
I think it's earlier than that, but I'd have to look it up.
Well, sure, even if it was 6 weeks, would you support abortion at like 4 weeks?
Well, again, most women don't even know that they're pregnant at that stage, so it's not much of an issue.
Well, I'm just saying, like, hypothetically.
Hypothetically?
It's a ridiculous hypothetical that's never happened.
It's never. No one's ever had an abortion before 6 weeks?
If you can bring me a case, I will gladly argue it, but...
Having an abortion before 6 weeks?
Yes, if you can bring me...
It happens all the time.
Name one case.
Sometimes people take Plan B, they take the abortion pill.
It's not abortivation. Levonorgestrel is the active ingredient in Plan B. They've done research on this. It's marketed as though it causes hostile endometrium, but that doesn't actually happen. So I think it was 2016, there's a New York Times article about it that talks about how they did more research on levonorgestrel to see if it causes early abortions. It doesn't. They thought that it did but once they did more research, they realized, all it does is block.
Yeah, that was my original thought too. And then I spoke to a nurse here, and she was actually saying how it can it's basically just an early term abortion because it can even happen after fertilization because it can make the environment in the womb because of the rising levels of progesterone. It can actually
That's called hostile endometrium, and the more recent research proved that wrong. That's what people used to think about. So levonorgestrel is in some hormonal pills, and it's also in Plan B. And they used to think, it causes a hostile endometrium because there's just not enough hormones present for the uterus to keep care of a zygote, but that's not the case.
Okay, guys, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and notification bell for future videos.
I want to keep my rights. My rights to be able to choose what I want in life. If I want to have abortion, let me have my abortion. And I feel like if God, He told us, He gave us a choice between life and death. It's up to us. So why should someone else tell me I should not have an abortion?
Sure. So, you said it's a choice to choose life or whatever.
Yes, it's your choice.
Could you kill this man if you wanted to?
No, you know what? If that was in my heart to be that evil, then that's my evil heart doing. What I'm saying.
Yeah, but we should make that illegal, though, right?
It is illegal.
Exactly. But why
it's illegal. Wait a minute. It is illegal to kill someone. Okay. It even in the Bible said, "Thou shalt not kill."
Yeah.
So
okay. Why should we kill the baby?
No, but wait a minute. No, but that's my life. That's my choice. Is that baby in my side? No, but that's it's my part of me. Okay. And if I can't afford to feed that child, why should I bring something in this world that I cannot afford to feed.
So what if you get?
No, wait a minute. And plus, what if my mind is not mentally stable? Why should I bring something in this life that I can't take care of and give it the proper love?
Sure. So what's this?
Okay, wait a minute. I got one more for you. Okay, now, what if I'm on drugs and I'm all messed up? I'm living on the streets. I ain't even got a roof to put over my head. Why would I bring a child in this world to live on the streets with me? When we got enough homeless people, so why should I put one more person into the in the process?
Can I ask you this question? So what's the difference then between that example that you were giving with the baby still being inside the womb and it being born? Like if you're on drugs, you can't support it, can you kill it then?
Well, see, that's it. And I can see, okay, if it's past 20 months, okay, then, 20 weeks, 20 weeks, that is a life. Anything before it, okay, 3 months, anything up to 4 months, that's what, 16 weeks?
Why 20? Why is that the mark that you
Because then that way, I look at it this way, a baby, that's when it's really a baby.
But why?
Anything before then, to me, is not.
But what's like the scientific basis for that?
Because to me, when you start hearing a heartbeat, you don't start really hearing a heartbeat, to me. I know I didn't really start, you don't really start feeling any connection until that time.
Well, the heartbeat starts at about 6 weeks.
No, but then again, like I said, I'm still against it. You can't change my mind on it, okay?
But is there anything that could possibly change your mind? No?
No.
Okay. Interesting.
We have a law now. We have people that follow it. The doctors agree on it. And we want people to go with what their doctor says is medically necessary. So,
and what do you think is like the concrete objective standard we should use? Like, is it as when the fetus is viable outside the womb, or?
Hey man, we
need you over there.
Okay,
yeah. We're gonna finish up in like 2 minutes, real quick.
Who are you?
Nuance, bro. I started a YouTube channel 4 months ago.
Yeah.
Get at.
All right, you got me. Right, sorry, man. If they name me, I gotta go. Good luck.
Are you gonna follow me around now? So this guy wants to follow me around, and here, let's go. Let's see if he still follows. Let's see. Look, he's following. He's following around. Oh, God. He's still following. So guys, you watch my videos. These people think I'm like some right-winger guy who's trying to push propaganda. You guys saw the earlier part of the video. Is that the case? Otherwise, I'd be pushing like this pro-life narrative. I mean, if anything, they're making themselves look pretty ridiculous right now. I hope they watch the video and see how crazy this is.
Check this channel. It's part of like the anti-immigrant.
Please watch this event. Watch the questions I asked these guys.
So fun. Thanks for telling me what I should do with my body. That's great.
I'm not. What are you? I'm not even anti-abortion.
You weren't sure what you were supposed to say there. You're like, I live out. Which side am I on?
Are you trying to like mock like the way I talk? That's very nice. Honestly, I've never really been around such like nasty people who assume things about who I am as a person, make fun of me. It's just disgusting. Why does this, like when I asked the other side the tough questions about their issue, some of them were like, okay, I don't want to talk to you, but at least they weren't making fun of me. They weren't being like physically intimidating, following me around. Like I got like 6 people following me around right now. Okay, now they go away once I point it out. How convenient. It's honestly disgusting behavior. Seriously.
No man and no religion, no belief system should dictate to that woman her freedom of choice.
And you believe that should be even the case up to something like 9 months, like maybe even an hour before the baby's born?
That question I am not going to answer.
Why is that?
Because that's a very nasty, even thing to think about.
Oh, I mean, we have to figure out these boundaries, right? If we're going to establish laws.
Well, the boundaries is if the health of the lady and the fetus is in danger, yeah, you have to do something medically at any time.
Well, I'm saying we're not talking about like the exceptions to the rule. I'm talking about general cases. You know, like abortion on demand. Do you believe it should be allowed up to an hour before the baby's born?
I'm not answering that question.
We have to establish laws and policies. That's why we're all out here.
Listen, I'm sorry, but your question is inflammatory. And
why is it inflammatory?
And stupid.
But why? I asked other people like similar type questions, with respect to their point of view.
Well, I can't answer to their maturity and their intelligence. I'm sorry.
So you don't have an opinion on it, or is it? I don't understand.
You got my answer.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
It is ridiculous that this is still an issue. I have a right to make a choice, and I think that they shouldn't go unopposed.
You're talking about abortion specifically, right?
Abortion specifically. Planned Parenthood is also a major target, and they don't only provide abortion, but they also provide lots of different kinds of health care to women so that they do not die. But abortion should be available without apology.
Sure. And like, what's your stance like on how, like, is it all the way until birth, or like what's the standard there?
What do you mean? Like,
is there a cutoff point for abortion, like a certain amount of weeks, or is it up until birth? Like, what do you think?
I don't know the specific medical opinion on that, but people should have the right to be able to choose that early enough on that there isn't that ambiguity. And often what happens is that there are so many laws and different things that are in the way of people finding out or being able to get the access to abortion soon enough that then they're stuck and it is too far along. And so I don't know the specific cutoff.
I think most countries that allow abortion, they allow it up to somewhere around 12 weeks on demand.
We do allow abortion.
What's that?
We do allow.
Oh, no, I'm saying most countries that do,
Yeah.
they limit it around 12 weeks. Is that something you would support?
I don't know the specific medical, but yes. I don't want to get into specifics because then it's going to make
we have to deal with
an
specifics because these people have to deal with specifics too because we're talking about law. Now some of them, they're just like period, even life of the mother, conception, like nothing, right? But then there's other people who are like, well, then this is my standard based on this kind of science. This is my standard based on this kind of science. We have to figure out laws, right? Because I want to know if you would support a law if it limits it to 12 weeks.
I feel like I don't have enough information to be like very specifically this exact cutoff. Basically,
is that something you would educate?
People should be able to have the education about where it is medically safe for the mother to still have this procedure. That's my issue. I feel like I'm being made. I feel like I don't know enough information to actually continue this.
Is that something you would educate yourself on, like the science behind it, and maybe what the ethics are behind it? Like let's say hypothetically it is safe to abort a baby all the way up, like even an hour before birth. Would that be something you're okay with?
I would hope that a woman would have the access to having a choice of abortion earlier than an hour before birth.
Sure, but I'm just saying hypothetically, because I mean, partial birth abortions have happened in the past.
And I think I think that taking it hypothetically is ignoring a lot of the issues that are happening around abortion in this country. And that
why? We're just dealing in hypotheticals because when you craft laws, you have to deal with any sort of possible scenario that could occur. So I'm asking in this specific hypothetical, is that something you'd be okay with if it could be done safely for the mother? Unless you have some sort of ethical opposition because you think maybe the baby's a life or something.
I feel like the wording of the question is very much making it sound like if I say that I'm supporting killing living babies.
No, but I mean, how should I word it differently then?
I don't know exactly.
With the same circumstance.
I believe that a woman would have the ability and the right to choose what to do with a child before it is born.
Even like an hour before birth?
I don't think that would ever come up.
I mean, it has happened before.
Has it?
Yeah, that's why we had even partial birth abortion procedures that have happened in the past. I mean, that's pretty much, like, once it's ready to be born, then that's when partial
Well, if it was that if the baby was born and was alive, then it would kill the mother, then yeah, I do support that.
No, we're not even talking about killing the mother. I'm talking about if it could be done safely, not her health at risk or anything. What's that?
I trust the woman to make that decision.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Anything else you'd like to say?
I probably should have been more prepared before I did this.
Oh, it's no worries. It's fine. All right, guys. We're pretty much done here. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Support me on Patreon. Social media links are in the description box below. And thanks for tuning in for another episode of Nuance. Bro.